में राजनीति को प्रभावित करने के लिए विदेशी शक्तियों को दखल देने के लिए उकसाते हैं। ये लोग कैसे गुप्त रूप से भारत को पसंद न करने वाले विदेशी डिप्लोमेट के साथ सीक्रेटली मिलते हैं।
आज जब भारत तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है तो कुछ देशों को, कुछ संस्थाओं को ये पसंद नहीं आता है। बहुत से लोग हैं वो यही चाहते हैं कि भारत कमजोर हो।
मैं देख रहा हूं पूरी दुनिया भारत के चुनाव को इन्फ्लुएंस करने के लिए कोशिश कर रही है, जो कि उनको नहीं करना चाहिए। ये वो अपना ओपिनियन नहीं दे रहे हैं, अपना कमेंट नहीं कर रहे हैं, वो इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे हैं, लेकिन भारत में इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं कर पाएंगे। भारत के लोगों के बहुत सी अंदरूनी जो शक्ति होती है वो बड़ी जबरदस्त होती है।
Viewers, in the lead up to the 2024 general elections, Prime Minister Narendra Modi warned about attempts by certain forces to interfere with the polls. The caution came on multiple occasions, including in an exclusive interview with Times Now, in which the Prime Minister categorically told my colleague Navika Kumar, Group Editor-in-Chief, that the world is trying to influence Indian elections, but expressed confidence that people of India will not be influenced. Amidst the storm over the USAID funding to boost voter turnout in India, which has now been cancelled, US President Donald Trump has dropped a bombshell. Trump has hinted that $21 million grant was possibly intended to make someone else get elected in India. Listen in.
What do we need to spend $21 million for voter turnout in India? Wow, $21 million. I guess they were trying to get somebody else elected. Well, we ought to tell the Indian government this is a total breakthrough. I have a lot of respect for India. I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister. He just left, as you know, 2 days ago. But we're giving $21 million for voter turnout. It's voter turnout in India. What about, like, voter turnout here?
BJP is claiming vindication, saying that it has now been established that attempts were being made to stop PM Modi from coming to power again. BJP also referred to Rahul Gandhi's March 2023 remark in London when he stated that US and Europe seem to be oblivious that a huge chunk of the democratic model has come undone. Now, while the BJP accuses Congress of plotting to undermine Indian democracy, the Congress has called Trump's claim nonsensical.
Indian democracy is a public good. And if you're looking at the democratic, the democratic structure, it is the single most important public good. It's the largest. It's 3 or 4 times the size of the United States in terms of numbers. The so-called defenders of democracy, which are the United States, European countries, seem to just be oblivious that a huge chunk of the democratic model has come undone.
जनता उनको अगर वोट नहीं देती तो वो षड्यंत्र करके विदेशी पैसा भारत के चुनाव को प्रभावित करने में लगे, ये काम करते हैं। भारत के लोकतंत्र को बदनाम करते हैं, इसके हम बहुत भर्त्सना करते हैं। कंडेम इट आउटराइट, दिस ब्लेटेंट अटेम्प्ट of foreign money's interference.
तो ये तो नहीं कहा जा सकता है कि यूपी की सरकार को हटाने के लिए किया गया और बीजेपी को लाने के लिए किया गया। तो सवाल ये है कि वो तो कोई छुपा हुआ उनका योजना नहीं था, कोई सीक्रेट नहीं था। वो ओपन था कि हम ये काम कर रहे हैं डेमोक्रेसी को और ज़्यादा मजबूत करने के लिए।
फॉरेन इंटरफेरेंस की फिलहाल कोई सबूत तो नज़र नहीं आ रही है। हमें तो ना पता है, इलेक्शन कमीशन को फिर इस चीज़ का जवाब देना होगा। क्या हमारे इलेक्शंस में कहीं पर फॉरेन इंटरफेरेंस हुआ है? क्योंकि अभी तक तो हम मान के चल रहे हैं कि हमारे इलेक्शन जो है फ्री और फेयर रहे हैं। अब अगर इस तरह की कोई बात आई है तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया इसमें सफाई दे।
Now, with President Trump suggesting that under the Biden administration or a previous administration, there was an attempt to influence Indian polls, let's take a look at some of the comments made by Democrat leaders in the past when they sought to lecture India on issues of religious freedom and even Kashmir. India will succeed so long as it is not splintered along the lines of religious faith, is what Barack Obama has said. We've seen what Kamala Harris, who's the former US Vice President in 2024, said, that US must remind Kashmiris that they are not alone. There's also a statement that has come in from Eric Garcetti, the former US envoy in 2023. I think it's about human concern while talking about various issues here in India. We have seen half a dozen Democrats who boycotted Modi's speech to the Congress in 2023 as well. All right, so let's quickly now take this across to noted lawyer Mahesh Jethmalani, who's joining us. He's, of course, tweeted a lot on this. Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, how do you read Donald Trump's remarks about the money being funneled into India with the possibility of wanting to vote out the Modi government?
Well, I mean, it's clear now. One thing is clear from that statement that as per Donald Trump and the present administration, there was no doubt that the Biden administration was trying to influence the outcome of the elections by transferring money through USAID to be used to influence voting patterns, and voting patterns, again, according to President Trump, against the present government. So that is the clearest inference from President Trump's statement in that Florida speech which he gave yesterday.
But, one of the questions that still remains is that for any kind of money trail to be established about who are the recipients of this $21 million, who or wouldn't our central government really have to launch a probe into this? So do you believe that they should?
Well, first, I think they'll have to seek assistance because that constitutes a serious offense in India. So they'll have to seek assistance under mutual treaties from the US government to find out that, yes, there was a allocation of funds for a illegal purpose in India, right? B, was that used? Were those funds in fact used, right? And C, by whom was it used? In other words, who paid that money? And fourthly, to whom it was paid? Whom was it transferred to? Those are the questions that remain, right? We know there was an allocation. There was a conspiracy, therefore, already. There is already one offense already committed, undoubtedly, that there was a conspiracy to influence the outcome of elections through illegal and corrupt means, that is paying money for changing voting patterns against the government, incumbent government. Right? Now we have to find out whether that money was in fact used so that the conspiracy was consummated, that it took place. But the conspiracy itself is an offense.
At the moment, there's no information forthcoming of certain vested interests with direct links to political parties who are actually receiving this money. A lot of the information circulating is in the realm of speculation. Can any direct allegation be made against anyone in India at this juncture?
At this juncture, it is difficult to make any allegation against a specific person. But that there was a conspiracy which was initiated by the Biden administration, right, to change the incumbent government. So one thing you can say is the Biden government wanted to change the incumbent government. That was the NDA government, right? That's the only confirmed fact. Now, what steps it took to bring about that change is a matter for the US administration, the present US administration, shedding some light, and our investigating agencies on its own and with the assistance it gets, investigating who paid the money and who received it,
right,
for that illegal purpose of subverting the electoral process.
But why this is important also, Mr. Jethmalani, is that we've seen how the BJP has cited an MOU that was signed between an entity called the IFES with the Election Commission of India in 2012. But the same IFES was a co-chair along with the Election Commission on issues such as election integrity recently in 2023 as well. Now, USAID has also entered into collaborations with the central government ministries. Should the BJP then be pointing fingers at the opposition in this event?
No, listen, about this aspect, this has nothing to do with what President Trump has said yesterday, right? That's an altogether different matter. If this government is anyway involved, At the moment, there's no evidence and not even a suggestion, right? That's now a counter allegation without any proof or any evidence whatsoever by some opposition sections. That's all.
All right, thank you so much, Mahesh Jethmalani, noted lawyer and former member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha. Thanks so much for speaking to us here at Times Now.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's take this across to our guest now. With us is Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of BJP. Dr. Anand Raghunathan is an author. Joining us with us also is Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist. Professor Manojit Mandal, political analyst, is with us. But my first question goes to Dr. Fuad Halim, who's the leader of the CPM. Good to have you on the show, sir. First question to you. When Donald Trump says that $21 million were provided for voter turnout in India, and that, obviously they were trying to get someone arrested, or guess they were trying to get someone elected, I beg your pardon. We have to now tell the Indian government is what he says. What do you make of this comment? Can it be taken lightly? This is, at the end of the day, the President of the United States making such a comment at a public forum.
No, it has to be taken very, very seriously. And we have to keep in mind, if the President of the United States makes such a comment, it actually puts an official seal to the fact that US government participates, influences and intervenes in politics of other nations. Now, the concrete question over here is that last year, 2024, a total of $151 million has come in through USAID over here. And we are discussing $21 million in this context. The other $130 million has to be spoken of. You very rightly raised by you, to which Mahesh Jethmalani deflected, that the government of India and its various agencies have been engaging with USAID. You got the National Family Health Service 2014-2015, you got the National Family Health Survey 2019-2020, you got Modi chairing a Union Cabinet meeting on the 5th of January 2021, where the Indian Railways enters into an understanding with USAID. You have this whole what you call functionality of the Indian government. IIT Gandhinagar, under the Ashirwad of Narendra Modi, received fund from USAID. Ministry of Power in 2016, they had got funds over there. You got a whole amount of money. Modi's pet fund itself received.
Dr. Halim, I will put that question to the BJP. I assure you I'll put that question. Sanju Verma is here. She's not going anywhere. But the larger question is this: your alliance partner.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, just bear with me for 1 minute. I just want to clarify one simple point. You're saying it's an alarming issue, it's a concerning issue. The US does interfere in election processes in other countries. That's what you are saying. The point is that here you have the Congress party, which is an alliance partner of the CPM, which says that this is all hogwash. You would have seen the tweets that have been put out by the media department chief of the Congress party. So what is true? Both cannot be true, sir.
Well, we are still waiting for the government of India's official response in this context, and we see that the government of India is maintaining silence.
Okay.
It's definitely an issue. $21 million needs to be spoken of, given the background that we've got $265 million that need to be educated upon by the US government in terms of persecuting Gautam and Sagar Adani, which nobody in India at this point of time is discussing. So I see the placement of issues very
fair enough. Let me put the question to Sanju Verma now. Fair enough. You made at least 2 or 3 points, and I want Sanju Verma to answer those 2 or 3 points. Sanju Verma, first point being made is the USAID also engages with government departments, and if that is the case, all of that should also be looked into, is what Dr. Fuad Halim is saying. Second point being made over here is that, how did this money come in? How is the US able to influence elections here in India? And that is an area of concern that even the opposition shares. That's what he says. Please respond to him.
Madhav, first and foremost, let's get one thing very clear. USAID was set up in 1961, and nobody is denying the fact that USAID has had, a major role to play, be it fighting climate change in the Amazon forest, or be it fighting Ebola outbreaks in South Africa, or for that matter, even helping in India, Asha and Anganwadi workers, or helping set up some of the recent IITs that have come up. But that does not give USAID a free run to interfere in India's election process. That does not give USAID a free pass to actually try and peddle an anti-Modi narrative, and that too deviously under the garb of being a humanitarian NGO. Now, I always say that the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You know, if you trace the money trail, you've got your culprit, you've got the beneficiary, and then you join the dots. Let's get one thing very clear. From 2004 to 2013, when the Congress-led UPA, the proxy government of Sonia Gandhi was in power, USAID funneled into India $204.28 million, which is roughly at current exchange rates, 1,777 crore rupees. Point number two, since Modi took charge in 2014, the aid from USAID that is funneled into India fell to a measly $1.51 million, barely 12.5 crore rupees. Now the more interesting bit, there are two organizations, Rural Development Trust, which has been for the longest time in the last couple of years talking about a caste census. Rural Development Trust has nothing to do with rural development in India. It is again funded by USAID, funded by the likes of Zakat Foundation, funded by the likes of Al Khidmat Foundation, funded by the likes of, Fact Shala. And we all know that be Zakat, Fact Shala, Al Khidmat, they finally are funded by whom?
Let me bring
USAID.
Okay. There are a lot of questions over here, a lot of questions emerging. Ashutosh, I want to bring you in on one very simple and fundamental point. Now, this is something that has been widely debated when these comments have come out in the past. Rahul Gandhi on foreign soil saying that the huge chunk of the Indian democratic model has come apart and the democratic world, particularly the West, etc., is just looking at it. Many saw that comment as an invitation for interference in India's democracy. And therefore, in that context, and in the context of the fact that the Prime Minister also made similar comments in the run-up to the 2024 Lok Sabha polls, can these statements by President Trump be taken lightly?
Trump is doing in America is attacking Biden. That is his internal politics. And when you see how Modi crumbled before, and if you see
but that does not change the fact that there was funding here in India for voter turnout increase or whatever it is. The point is that there was $21 million that came into India. Is that something that you have reason to dispute or disbelieve, Mr. Ashutosh Mishra?
So if you let me complete, I will just answer your question. So why Modi-Trump brotherhood? We all know. And Modi crumbled before Trump cut all the import duties. And so now when there is a case where the brand Modi is trying to make that they were not rejected by the voters because of their misgovernance, they are inciting the Indian electorate by insinuating that its votes can be bought and influenced by foreign funds. And just now, the BJP spokesperson was talking about thousands of crores that came during UPA regime. And we all know that what happened. India against corruption. There was this big drama where there were charges against the Congress government, which later it proved to be couldn't be proved in the court of law. And there Manmohan Singh and Congress were, if anyone...
The problem with that logic, Ashutosh, the problem with that logic is the BJP spokesperson will turn around and say during Bharat Jodo Yatra and several other such, moves of the Congress party, that time also the foreign funding went up. So, this argument is going to cut both ways. The point being made over here is there someone who was specifically pushing for this foreign interference? That is the larger question. You can question tariffs, you can question all sorts of things, but that's not what we're discussing. We're discussing whether the Indian democratic model was, or the Indian democracy was anyway sought to be influenced by forces outside of India, and if so, why?
So, Madhav, what Rahul Gandhi meant at that time, that when electoral autocrats like Modi are felicitated in abroad by foreign leaders, when he goes there, hugs them and gives an impression that he has become the Vishwaguru. That is what he was questioning, that why are you encouraging a person who is attacking
So what do you want? You want the Prime Minister of India to be insulted abroad? What are you saying, Ashutosh? Please. I mean, this is really going ridiculous. Dr. Ranganathan, does this make any sense? He's the leader of India. Whichever Prime Minister of us goes, it doesn't matter if it's Dr. Manmohan Singh or Prime Minister Modi. He's the Prime Minister of India. I don't understand this argument that is being put forth by Mr. Mishra here.
Yeah, the problem is that you want it to make sense, but it's a futile exercise. No, but Madhav, in the couple of minutes that I have, I really like to focus on this issue specifically on foreign interference in Indian elections. And to be honest, Madhav, there is a thin line between genuine concern and scaremongering, being the victim and playing it. And everyone's a hypocrite here. 2 points. Madhav, the biggest interference in election happens through the media. Billions of dollars are handed out to the Indian media by Indian and foreign companies in the form of ads, also pushed by Indian and foreign governments, like in the case of China, that directly funds multiple Indian media outlets brazenly. In the 1980s, do you remember a newspaper editor ratted out to the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi the name of the Bofors Swedish whistleblower? Was that not interference? In 2019, the same editor cropped out the signature of our defense minister to peddle the fake narrative that Modi had indulged in Rafale scam. Was that not election interference? What did the government do? Nothing. Look, fake narratives, misinformation, disinformation, of course, trick the Indian voters, interfere in Indian elections, doubtless. But then you can never stop it because every single politician and every single political party takes money and spends to do this. Now, Madhav, I have 1 minute left. But before I do that, can I please have a very quick yes and no from you? Madhav, if an organization gives money to a political party, does it expect some leverage in return?
Obviously, I don't think there are any free lunches around.
Thank you. So, Madhav, now here is my next minute. Please permit me. The biggest election interference in Indian history was perpetrated by this government itself, with full support and partaking of the opposition, through the anonymous electoral bonds and the amendment of the FCRA Act that allowed foreign companies to give tens of billions to Indian political parties anonymously. This was the biggest betrayal of the Indian voter, and no party has returned the money to these companies. And it was not a foreign hand that did it. It was an Indian hand. And this way, more dangerous it was than done in secret, unlike a spurious paid for newspaper report that you can read and rebut. The government wants transparency on who got USAID money, but wanted to keep opaque as to who gave political parties money through electoral bonds. If a foreign mining company gave billions to Congress, BJP would be up in arms.
Okay.
But a foreign company did give billions to Congress and BJP was silent. Why? Because that same mining company also gave billions to the BJP.
Okay.
And both BJP
Okay.
and Congress joined hands
Dr.
in
Ranganathan,
amending the FCRA Act to escape conviction. Was that interference or not?
Dr. Ranganathan, I mean, I would be actually, if I didn't know better, I would be confused as to which side of the debate you're on today. But since you've raised serious questions of the central government, no, they're fair questions. I'm going to allow Sanju Verma a chance to rebut them. Sanju Verma, let Sanju Verma respond to you. I'm not stopping her from rebutting you.
Thank you.
Sanju Verma.
Thank you. You know, Madhav, Anand is a very erudite panelist, and without being offensive to him, I'm not going to call him a monkey balancer. You know, he started off by talking about foreign funding that has come in to help the Congress and its narrative, and then he went on to electoral bonds. So he's trying to play both sides. Let me just educate Mr. Ranganathan. Electoral bonds are transparent because money is taken via checks. Unlike when money was funneled, you know, via cash into the electoral process, and you did not know कि Amar Akbar Anthony किसके हाथों से पैसा
But
कहाँ
Sanju Verma, let's be fair to Dr. Ranganathan. The Supreme Court also found flaws in that logic, and you know we all know what has happened in the run-up to the 2024 elections. Let's not go down that road. What his simple point is, there's no free lunch. If you're taking money from a corporate, then they perhaps expect something in return, and that's a larger point he's making in context of all political parties, because it's not like opposition has not taken money from the electoral bonds as well. But let me bring in Professor Monojit Mandal now. Professor Monojit Mandal, you know, it is the Prime Minister who said, and I'm quoting what the Prime Minister told Times Now, he says, I can see that there's an attempt that the world's trying to influence our elections. They are not just giving their opinions, but trying to influence our elections. They will not be successful because the people of India will not get influence. This is what he said in the run-up to 2024 elections to my colleague Navika. And somewhere or the other, this is not a statement that can be taken lightly now, in light of what President Trump has said.
In that case, if that money has gone into topple the government or maybe elect someone else, then Mr. Modi should ask his friend immediately to nab these people and book them by law. So, I mean, if $21 million is so much to buy Indian voters, with barely few hundred crores, whereas Indian political parties, the homegrown money that they are spending, especially BJP, we know that how much staggering amount that they have spent. And my good friend with whom I rarely agree, Anand, is absolutely spot on by saying that it was absolutely opaque way of election funding. And that's why the Supreme Court had to calm down heavily upon the State Bank of India, where they are not disclosing the names of the companies. And it turned out that some of the companies who actually gave money to the BJP, DLF included, their offices were raided just prior to the donations.
Sir, TMC has been the biggest recipients amongst the opposition political parties, so let's not even go down that road. But Dr. Ranganathan, what I find fascinating about this debate is that you appear to have more friends on the other side of the political line today than on this side. But Sanju Verma, here's a question that opposition is asking. We have a bigger breaking news coming up, but quick question, Sanju Verma. If this is indeed a fact that this money was coming in, what was the government doing? We have our various agencies that keep an eye on funding, money laundering agencies, money laundering act, FCRA. There are so many such acts that are in place. So the question that then will arise is that what was the government doing when this money for political interference or voter turnout or whatever it is was coming into the country? Does that not come under the centre's purview then?
Madhav, without being offensive to you, I love coming on your shows. When I'm talking, at least please don't keep interjecting because you break my chain of thought. You are free to ask any tough questions as you will, but let me make one point very clear.
Ma'am, it's a limited time debate. I give time to everybody to speak, but please carry on.
Can I please finish? Every time it is not BJP which is supposed to be in the dock. Today, the party which is in the dock is the Congress party. I want to ask through your show, why is it that Sam Petroda's Global Knowledge Institute was taking money from USAID? Why is it that Rajiv Gandhi Foundation was taking money from Rural Development Trust, which was in turn taking money from Al Khidmat Foundation? Why is it that Vasu Mohan has left and deactivated his ex account? Who is Vasu Mohan? Vasu Mohan is the head of IFES. What is IFES? IFES is the core partner of another company called CPEBS.
Okay, but all of these, that's the larger point. Sanju Verma, that's the point. Why is all this not being investigated? That's a question that many are asking. And in fact, this is the breaking news we have. In fact, sources are telling Times now that the funds that have come up from the USAID during 2012 came from various purposes. Agencies are trying to verify who are the final beneficiaries of these funds and where they were used. Sources say that most of the documents have been archived and right now are being retrieved and being looked into. This review of documents is in regard to claims made by DOGE that 21 million USD was sent to India for voter turnout. Let's quickly go across to my colleague Pradeep Datta. Pradeep Datta, various government agencies are looking into this is what we understand. Documents have been archived. They're being pulled out now to verify what the veracity of these claims is and who the beneficiaries, if any, were.
Madhav, one thing is clear that this was not for the voter turnout. 21 billion was basically to influence elections in India. And what now the Indians are trying to find out that invisible hand that was trying to do so, how they were meddling into India's affair. So what they're trying to look at is where from they got the funds, who are the beneficiaries, and where actually the money spent. Not only that, they're also trying to execute those Indian entities who have got the funds from USAID and their affiliates. Besides this, they are also going to look into whether they were properly registered, these entities. They're also going to look into all these things. I think within days, the things will get clear. Where from the funds are coming, who are the beneficiaries, where actually the amount that they spent. Basic idea was they were trying to set in a kind of a narrative. They were trying to portray Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP government in bad light.
All right, thanks so much for the quick update there, Pradeep. Let's go back to our panel now. Professor Bandal, be careful what you wish for. There's a probe already ordered.
That's very good. I would also like to know where has that money gone? Through which channel they're coming to India, and the government is absolutely sitting tight-lipped. Have the BJP also benefited from that money? Because everyone knows in this country that BJP is the biggest beneficiary of the electoral bond.
All right, I don't know. All right. Which political parties, which agency got that money, we don't know. So let's not speculate. But let me bring in Dr. Fuad Halim. Dr. Fuad Halim, the government at least looking into the matter, saying that the records are being now retrieved and then we will know very soon how that money actually came in, which agency they actually flowed to. Do you welcome this move, Dr. Fuad Halim?
Well, it's very clear the responsibility of the government of India to categorically put forward to the people of India as to how US influence in Indian politics has played itself out. And one important way is how funding is coming. Not only USAID, other sources should also be looked into, especially, as Anand says very correctly, our party was the only political party to put the case, and our case was registered in the Supreme Court, which actually exposed the electoral bond, what you call fiasco.
Okay.
And the largest amount of money picked up through electoral bonds.
Quick response on Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, the probe has been ordered. We're running out of time. Quick answer, Sanju Verma, 30 seconds. Probe being ordered now. How quickly will we know the truth in this matter?
I, through your channel, want to ask, what is the connection between former Chief Election Commissioner S.Y. Qureshi and IFES, International Foundation for Electoral Systems, funded by USAID? I want to know through your channel, what is the connection between Mahua Moitra and CEPPS, Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening? CEPPS is again a partner of IFES, which in turn is being funded by USAID. I want to know through your channel, $47 million was
Well, we put that question to him, and Dr. Qureshi says that the arrangement to IFES is not a financial one. It was an arrangement that was made at that point of time with regard to training of certain officials of other countries through their institute, IIDM. But Dr. Ranganathan, the probe has been ordered. The investigations will reveal where the money went. There's also the possibility that many say that it could have gone to certain NGOs or not necessarily the Election Commission or any government agency which was involved in this.
And as I say, at the risk of again being accused of by my very good friend Sanju of being a monkey balancer, I love being called a monkey because evolutionarily I'm proud of having descended from there. But the fact of the matter again, Madhav, is that we are missing the woods for the trees. A mining company gave billions to the BJP. The BJP was convicted for it. The BJP in cahoots with the Congress amended the FCRA Act, rendering the conviction toothless. Is that a crime or not? Anybody would say, yes, it is a crime. Okay. And we are missing that. Okay. For a few piddly little pennies, we are missing billions
many questions. There are many questions. There are many questions, sir. There are many questions. As I said, we have very limited time. We have to do another debate. I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us on debate number 1. Dr. Fuad Halim, Ashutosh Mishra, Professor Manojit Mandal, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Sanju Verma. Stay with us for debate number 2.